What do you think of the report? Is this a step forward, the interim report? What needs to happen? What needs to be done? What has gone wrong?
To answer the first question, what do I think of this report? I'm afraid I think the report is a sham. It was set up to fail because Sir John Cunliffe was blocked from even investigating public ownership as a possible solution right from the start.
Too expensive.
Too expensive, apparently. But the figure that the government often cites is 100 billion. Now, that is a figure that has been widely debunked by economists like Sir Dieter Helm. Actually, that figure is probably much closer to 15 billion. So I think it's important to realise that some of these figures do catch hold in the press and they're not actually accurate. So a lot of research has gone into this. And the University of Greenwich did some research recently which said that public ownership of water could save us 3 to 5 billion a year. And that's just on the cost of finance. This is all the money that flows out in fees to banks and shareholders that you could stop. You could stem that flow with public ownership. The reality is that water is a natural monopoly. So there is no competition in water. It's a captive audience. It's a captive market. So things that, like, where you don't have competition should never have been privatized in the first place, because it's effectively giving the water companies an ability to print money. You can't go anywhere else. So, it's important to have competition in areas where competition is possible, but that's never been possible in water in this country. So therefore, we think that the real solution is public ownership. 90% of the world runs water in public hands. It's because it works. In Scotland, north of the border, they have publicly run water. Bills are £113 cheaper, and there's more investment per household in the system. So I think the evidence is fairly clear. You mentioned sort of Thatcher's privatisation drive in 1989. One way to look at this is just the bare figures of this over that period. Over that time, the water industry as a whole in this country has racked up 60 plus billion of debt. And at the same time, they've paid themselves 85 billion in shareholder dividends. So it's nothing more than a government-sanctioned Ponzi scheme. It's bound to collapse because they haven't done the work. They haven't done the work to invest in the leaking system. We lose 20% of all of the water in the network every single day. 3 billion litres leaking out. At the current rate, it would take us 2,000 years to replace the pipework in this country. Whereas in Europe, where it's mostly publicly owned, they could do that in about 200 years. They're 10 times as efficient with their investment. So really, we've been failed completely by privatisation.